Hi everybody, Katie Florio, Ashley Pendergast, and Alex Dodd here at Tuesday's Student Roundtable. And today was Dabo Swinney's weekly press conference and then several player interviews as well. And as we know, Clemson traveled to NC State this past weekend, winning 38-31, and the NC State fans did not lose with class. You know, they were throwing things at the officials, throwing beer, spitting on them. The guy was even giving the finger as he was walking out. And then, of course, Coach Dave Doran called for a laptop investigation because there was a laptop on Clemson's sideline that was apparently part of the social media team, nothing to do with the football team. And today, Dabo Swinney gave his thoughts on that, and he was obviously not happy with anything that happened this weekend, specifically the laptop. Ashley, what did he have to say today?
Yeah, so we always know that Coach Swinney, he always says, you know, you win with class, you lose with class. That's just how he has always been. He shook the players' hands after Syracuse in their locker room. So we did not see that from the NC State head coach. The only thing he wanted to talk about during his press conference was this laptop, which ironically, I know all of you Clemson fans follow the Instagram page, the vlog. That's what the kids were editing on the sidelines. So they were student workers editing a video that was going on social media, had absolutely nothing to do with the game plan whatsoever. So in Coach Swinney's press conference today, one of the very last questions was, you know, have you heard anything about this computer? You know, have you done your own investigation? So of course he went out on a rant saying, yes, matter of fact, I have gone on my own investigation, you know, completely joking, kind of, I think, pointing fingers a little bit, taking a jab at the NC State head coach, which is kind of unlike Coach Swinney, but I think he felt that with their investigation of this laptop, it was kind of a slap at Clemson's integrity and was completely uncalled for. You know, Coach Swinney made this whole joke that his investigation was that the laptop was being used to bring in towels on a drone from Amazon, which is ironic considering a defensive player, Bradley Chubb, actually stole towels from Kelly Bryant throughout the game. I think there was, 3 towels that were stolen? So it was just very ironic how he played into that whole thing, and I thought he handled it with grace, and it was hilarious. Definitely not what we expected from Coach Swinney, but I think he did a great job.
Definitely, you know, it definitely shows what kind of program he has here. But as we look forward now, Clemson is back in Death Valley playing Florida State this upcoming weekend at 3:30. And if you look back to the beginning of the season, this was thought to be, you know, probably one of the biggest games of the season. I think Florida State started the season at number 3 in the country, but as we know, Francois, their starting quarterback, was out for the season with a knee injury in the first game against Alabama. So they have just kind of gone downhill since then. They have an overall record right now of 3-5. So yes, not the season they were expecting, and this game, you know, is obviously not as big as we thought it would be. So Alex, what is your take on the season they've had so far?
Yeah, I think the best way to describe Florida State's season so far is a series of unfortunate events. Like you said, DeAndre Francois, who was arguably one of the best players in the country coming into the season on what was arguably one of the best teams in the preseason as well, plays a great game against Alabama, has Florida State in the game in the fourth quarter with a chance to win, and goes out with a season-ending knee injury, an unfortunate thing for him and his team. And then it was one of those things where when it rained, it poured. Florida State didn't get to play for 4 weeks, and that's no pun intended. For a few weeks, they didn't get to play because of the hurricane. So there was no chance for them to really get momentum. There was some complacency that came in during that long break. And the offensive line for Florida State didn't seem to improve at all, and actually seems to have gotten worse from a year ago. And it's just not been a good season for the Seminoles. Lose a game on the road in Chestnut Hill to Boston College on a Friday night, 35-3, just get pounded by Boston College is not something that Florida State fans are used to. They're 119th in the country in scoring offense, 113th in total offense, and like I said, their offensive line's just bad. They can't protect Blackman, who has thrown 8 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So this Florida State team is not where they thought they would be, but the coaches and players kept saying it's still Clemson, Florida State. It's still a rivalry game, and anything can happen.
Yes, definitely. You know, it's certainly not a game that Clemson can overlook. So, Ashley, what about you? How do you feel? What do you feel about the game this weekend?
Yeah, so, I've always said this. Coach Sweeney always focuses on the next game momentum. You hear every single player say, we're focusing on the next game. We're not focusing on what's happened before. So for them, this is a huge rivalry game for them. It's Florida State versus Clemson. It's always been a good game, and they feel, even with Florida State's losing record, that Florida State's going to bring their all against Clemson. It's a 3:30 game in the Valley. Of course, everyone was expecting it to be a night game, which obviously that didn't happen with their record, but Coach Sweeney mentioned earlier, they beat us in recruiting every single year. They always have a better recruiting class than Clemson, and I think that shows. And maybe not on the field this season, but they will bring their all against Clemson this weekend, and I think that is just something to look forward to, and that's definitely something that Clemson needs to prepare for.
Yes, definitely a game to look forward to. So keep up with the Clemson Insider as we continue our coverage of Florida State the rest of this week.